U.S. soldiers believed to be detained by North Korea after crossing border. Seoul, South Korea CNN. An American believed to have been detained in North Korea after crossing the inter-Korean border during a tour is a U.S. Army soldier, a U.S. official told CNN on Tuesday. He was detained during a joint security area tour after crossing the demarcation line separating North and South Korea, according to the United Nations Command, which oversees the border area. A U.S. Defense Office official said the service member is a junior enlisted soldier assigned to U.S. Forces Korea and was not in uniform when he crossed into North Korea. The official also added that he was on a tour as a civilian. Another U.S. official said that there was no indication the soldier was trying to defect. The prospect the prospect of a U.S. soldier being held in North Korean military custody comes at a time of fraught diplomacy and rising military tensions on the Korean Peninsula. A U.S. national on a JSA orientation tour crossed without authorization the military demarcation line into the Democratic People's Republic of Korea called the DPRK. We believe he is currently in DPRK custody and are working with our KPA counterpart to resolve this incident, the UNC said. A U.S. official told CNN the soldier appeared to cross the line into voluntarily. U.S. officials say they are wanting to confirm his identity until his next of kin is notified. The South Korean soldiers stand guard during a media tour at the joint security area in the border village of Panmunjom in March 2023. The joint security area is the most recognizable part of the wider demilitarized zone between South and North Korea, and the tours of the area are open to the public and organized by the United Nations Command. The JSA has been disarmed since 2018 after an inter-Korean military agreement. So both the UNC and North Korean soldiers at the area are unarmed. Neither the UN command soldiers or the North Korean soldiers are allowed to cross the military demarcation line separating North and South. The border demilitarized zone called the DMZ is the buffer, 2.5 miles wide and 160 miles long, that separate North and South Korea. It has become one of the most heavily fortified borders in the world, ringed by miles of barbed wire and landmines, and patrolled by soldiers from both sides for decades. But the joint security area is the slightly different beast. While there are the series of checkpoints that must be passed to get to the JSA, crossing the military demarcation line, that is the actual border between North and South Korea, does not require passing any physical barrier. There is only a small raised line on the ground that marks the border, and stepping across it requires only one step, as former U.S. President Donald Trump did when he met the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un in the JSA in 2019. During a JSA tour, participants are kept about 20 yards or so from the line Trump stepped across. Though there are guards on the South Korean side of the border during the tours, no guards are seen on the North Korean side when CNN took the press tour of the JSA last year. Former U.S. President Donald Trump met with North Korea leader Kim Jong-un at the demilitarized zone in 2019. Frozen history, the DMZ is the monument to the moment history was frozen at the end of the Korean War, which took place from 1950 and 1953 under a deal between the belligerent North Korea and China on one side, the collection of Western allies on the other, known as the United Nations Command. The Korean Peninsula was lawfully cut in half, and a buffer zone created between the two. That deal was signed at the village of Panmunjom, which became the JSA, the one area along the DMZ where the two sides could meet for negotiations and prisoner swaps. U.S. soldiers are stationed on the South Korea side of the JSA because they are part of the original United Nations Command. Over the decade, the JSA has seen sporadic bouts of violence between the two sides, including in 1976 when two U.S. soldiers were bludgeoned to death by North Korea counterpart as they tried to trim a tree on the border. The JSA has also seen a string of successful and unsuccessful defection attempts from both sides over the decades. Rising tensions under leader Kim Jong-un, North Korea has been ramping up tests of potentially nuclear capable intercontinental ballistic missiles, something South Korea and its treaty ally, the United States, are keen to push back on. The same day, the U.S. national crossed the border, another moment of intense historic and strategic symbolism was taking place at the South Korean port of Busan. For the first time since the early 1980s, a nuclear-capable U.S. submarine was making a port call. That visit came as Kurt Campbell, coordinator for the Indo-Pacific at the U.S. National Security Council, was at the inaugural meeting in Seoul of a nuclear consultative group called the NCG. The NCG is a joint U.S. and South Korean panel set up by the country's leaders at the summit in Washington in April. During that summit, U.S. President Joe Biden and South Korean counterpart Yoon Suk-yeol unveiled the Washington Declaration that includes the set of measures aimed at making Pyongyang think twice about launching an attack on its southern neighbor.